my name is Annie. Welcome to my channel, Eat, Drink, and Be Reading. And today I'm going to be doing my winter wrap up where I talk about all the books I read in January and February. Okay guys, because I didn't really get back into BookTube until end of January, beginning of February, I just never really got around to my January wrap up, and now it's March, so I'm going to do January and February together. So I'll try to be pretty quick, not spend too much time on each book, but still give you enough to know. And it helps that the first three are a series, so it'll be pretty easy to talk about those. I have loved reading the past couple months. I think I've said this in a couple other videos, but that it just makes me feel so normal. And with, you know, my husband not here, most things don't feel normal. And so I'm really grateful for something that just feels like me, that makes me feel just like Annie, like how Annie has been for her whole life. And I love it. And I'm really grateful for reading for doing that for me. Yeah, so let's jump in. Like I said, the first three books were a series. They're the Nevermoor series, and so it is Nevermoor, The Trials of Morrigan Crow, Wondersmith, The Calling of Morrigan Crow, and Hollowpox, The Hunt for Morrigan Crow, all by Jessica Townsend. I usually read a Frederick Bachman at the beginning of the year. He's my favorite contemporary author, and I will talk about him later. Up since like 2018, maybe, I've started my year every year with a Frederick Bachman book, but I decided to do something different. This year, I read, oh, my left hand is not quite back to normal yet. Read Nevermoor and Wondersmith last year, in 2020, in the spring and summer, I think, and I loved them. I loved them so much, and I thought my husband would love them, and so I forced them into his hands, and he did love them. He read like both of them in a week, and he immediately went and pre-ordered Hollowpox, which came out in October. So he pre-ordered it July or August. He passed away in September. And so this book came, I'd forgotten all about it, and it just was this sweet reminder of him. And because he loved these books and he wanted to read the third one, I thought it would be special to start my year off with these. These are the story of Morrigan Crow. She is an 11-year-old in the beginning and kind of discovers this whole new world, discovers something new about herself when she is delivered from the home where she grew up, which says that when she turns 11, she will actually die, and that she has been cursed, and she therefore curses all people around her. But it turns out there's somebody who thinks differently and brings her in, saves her. It's kind of a little bit of a like Harry Potter vibes, child savior kind of story. Very interesting, keeps you on your toes. You just love all the characters. They are quirky and heartwarming and sweet. I love Morrigan and her friends and Jupiter, and I just think they're all wonderful, and I cannot wait for the fourth book to come out. Okay, after that, I read You Have a Match by Emma Lord. Last year, I read Tweet Cute by Emma Lord, which was her debut. This was her new book that came out, I think, in January. It is the story of, oh gosh, their names. Abby, who, when she signs up to do a DNA test, discovers she has a sister she never knew about. They decide to meet up at a camp, and she ends up spending the summer at this camp with her sister, also with her crush, who is also her best friend. I liked it because I like a young adult with some romance, but I loved that it wasn't like the main part. It was an important part of the story, but more of it was about friendship and family and figuring out who you are as a person. And it was coming of age in a very sweet way. I feel like I really related to, I related to figuring out who you are and what you like a lot. Personality-wise, what was her name? Abby and I are nothing alike, but kind of her experiences, what they lead to, I totally understood and related to. It is easy. It's very like current, contemporary, but it was fun. I also just think Emma has insight into teenagers that I really appreciate, and I really enjoyed it. The next book I read was Reading While Black by Esau Macaulay. I listened to this on audio in February. It's a Christian nonfiction where Esau Macaulay, who is a professor and a reverend, talks about what does it look like to read the Bible as a Black man, what has his experiences been, what are maybe predominantly white churches missing out on, and what has been the expectations of white people for Black people reading the Bible. It's excellent. I do regret reading it on audio. I think at some point I will go back and pick it up, a physical copy. I think I missed a lot. It was Christianity Today, which is probably like the biggest Christian magazine out there. It was their book of the year for last year, which is why I picked it up, or where I saw it and picked it up. And so while I found it interesting and I learned a lot, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is book of the year. And I think it's because I listened to it on audio. So I definitely want to pick it up in like a physical copy as well. But I'm really grateful to listen to voices and experiences that are different than mine, particularly in the church. And that's what this book was. Okay. Talked about Frederick Bachman earlier. His newest book that came out last September, sometime in the fall, I think, Anxious People. This is the story of a bank robbery gone wrong that turned into a hostage situation. If you are looking for something with plot, please do not pick this book up. If you're looking for something with just relatable characters, you want to read something with insight to the emotions and needs of people, read anything by Frederick Bachman, but particularly this. He has a way of getting to the heart of an issue, getting to the heart of people. He writes his characters and they're relatable and they're real and they're true. And I think I've said before that he is the most empathetic author that I've read. This book did that so well. You just understand all the characters, where they're coming from, why they do what they do really, really well. And so I loved it. It's maybe my least favorite Frederick Bachman, but it's still 5 stars. I still absolutely loved it. It could very well be one of my favorites of the year, even if it's my least favorite Frederick Bachman. But I also think the more I sit with it, the more that I like it. So I don't know, but I loved it. The next book I read was The Flat Share. I think Beth O'Leary. I forgot to write down the author's name. I think it's Beth O'Leary. The Flat Share is about these 2 characters. I read this on Kindle, borrowed it from my library, who share an apartment, but by share, I mean they sleep in the same bed. He works nights, she works during the day, and so they're never in the apartment at the same time. And they literally share a bed, but just not at the same time. And they start writing notes to each other on like little Post-it notes. And they create like a friendship grows from that. Maybe something more. I adored this book. I had heard great things from other people on BookTube. And I just thought that it dealt with some more serious things in a really lighthearted but true way. It was enjoyable. I liked the characters. You were rooting for them both in their jobs and in their friendships and their other relationships and with each other. Yeah, so if you were wanting to give romance another shot, if you just want something heartwarming and fun, I really loved The Black Chair. I think I read it in like 2 days. It was easy, didn't want to put it down. I highly recommend it. The next book I read was The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. Guys, this was a great reading month. I really enjoyed this book too. I adored all the books that I read in January and February. This is the story of, oh gosh, what is his name? Linus, who's kind of like a social worker, but his job is he checks on orphanages that hold taking care of magical youth. And he is sent to this one out on an island in the Cerulean Sea. And he meets, I think it's 5 kids that are there. They're all, like, one of them is literally a blob. One of them is like a little winged creature. One of them is a gnome. One of them is a forest sprite. I won't tell you what the other one is because that would be a spoiler. But they are wonderful. Oh my gosh. I adored these children. I loved them so much. This is whimsical. It is like found family and friendship. It is like reconsidering the things that you've always thought you knew and that you believed. It is being brave when you feel like you've never really been brave before. All of those things. Well written, very sweet, but also you can tell that there's something like he's getting deeper points across while still writing something whimsical and sweet. Really, really enjoyed it. And the cover is beautiful. Last but not least is Home Cooking by Lori Colwin. I read this on my Kindle. This is a food memoir. You guys know I love food memoirs. I liked this one. I thought I was going to love it, especially actually I loved the first half. I was laughing. I was like just underlining things just because they made me laugh and I wanted to remember them. And I actually meant to write a couple of them down to share with you guys. But she is a writer but who loves to cook. And she is literally just going through different situations like a party or Friday night dinners or easy dinners, or she's going through recipes like for black cake and talking about them. She's literally just talking about food. Yeah, like I said, the first half is super entertaining, really funny. I love the things she has to say and the way that she writes about food with just joy and passion. And the second half I felt like was kind of a snooze. So, oh well. But I love food memoirs and it's been a little while since I had read one. It's funny, I had started this when I forgot that I was in the middle of reading this whenever we had our accident. And I totally forgot. But as I was reading it this time, there were some lines and sentences that I remember, like while I was reading on the couch, reading out loud to my husband because they made me laugh so much. I don't know that he fully appreciated them, but it was sweet just to remember those moments with him. All right, guys, that was January and February's reading. I would recommend pretty much any of these books. Let me see if I can hold them because it's a big stack. And I'm so grateful that my year started out with just really enjoyable reading. I needed that to get me back into the reading life again. So I hope that you guys are doing well. What did you read? What was maybe your favorite book you read this winter? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe for more bookish content. Let's build community. Let's talk books. Bye, y'all.